All right, hello and welcome everyone to another cast in Alchemy League Season 8. And not only is it another cast in Alchemy League Season 8, it is the final cast of Alchemy League Season 8, most likely. The season has ended in terms of play. No more games are being played. All the results that could be generated have already been accepted, and the players are currently reviewing the online scoreboard for any mistakes and to make sure that everything there is reflected accurately as to what the reality of the truth of what happened. And then in basically 48 hours, a little bit less than that, I will download that spreadsheet and feed it into our score calculation. And we'll have ourselves some results, and that's pretty exciting. This was a pretty controversial season of Alchemy League, and we had a lot of people dropped out, which was unfortunate. But the ones that made it through, it's a pretty good sign that they'll basically be able to play anything we could potentially throw at them. And I think a lot of people did have a lot of fun too. Some people really liked it, and some people really hated it. But having said that, I'll explain a little bit about Alchemy League Season 8. It was kind of a last-minute thing. We had one set of plans for what we were going to do for the maps, and then the map organizer backed out, and so then we had, like, maybe not necessarily the map organizer backing out, but we had we had 3 different changes of what we were going to do, and I just said, screw it, we're just going to do something crazy and wild this season, and we'll try it out, because as you guys may know, we're going to a 3-season-per-year format starting in 2026. So get all your crazy ideas out when they're only going to last 3 months instead of 4, essentially. We got a lot of players. We got people all the way from 1K up to 2K4, basically. And so we had custom maps that had the theme sort of for this season was A Million Ways to Die in the Middle Ages. So our custom maps had a lot of different win conditions that you could go for. And as we've seen throughout the league, there's pretty much one win condition that dominated. Unfortunately, we didn't quite have the balance for that we may have wanted. But with some tuning, this concept could actually be a lot more fun, I think. And it won't be this community, but because we don't have time. We have a lot of other places to get for Alchemy League. I've got the potential to go to New York, the potential to go to Ireland, the potential to go back to Alaska. There's all kinds and the potential to do General Zuma's maps. There's all kinds of different things that we want to do. That we're just kind of trying to sort out our resources and shift around priorities and see what's going to happen when. So I'm really looking forward to 2026, but first we got to get through the very last part of Alchemy League season. I know this says Season 7, but it's actually, well, I guess it was the Civ draft for Season 7 as well, but we are also using it for Alchemy League Season 8. So we've got 2 sets for you, as always in this cast. We have Bender versus Nope, and this set happens at around the 1500 level, and then we have Wizanatic versus Ice-T, which happens around the 2K1 level probably. So we'll go and take a look at where these players are seated. And let's see. So we got Bender and Chill here, upper 1500s, and Nope here, lower 1400s. So these guys are, Bender definitely has an advantage over Nope. Alright, sorry about that. Okay, so we got Nope versus Bender around a 1500 level matchup. Sorry about the intrusion. And then Ice-T versus Wizanatic up here at 2.2K, 2.1K-ish. What can I tell you about these players? Wizanatic is from Germany. Ice-T is from Germany. Bender and Chill is from Peru, I believe. And Nope 1585 is from India. So we got a lot of German players in the league, actually. I think Wizanatic found us, and then he told all of his German friends. And then they told their friends, hey, I'm not complaining. These guys are fun to watch. All right, so the way that this works is it is a minimum play all 2. They can choose to play a third game if they want to. Our scoring system can accommodate that. Bender and Nope are playing in the round wild. They're not assigned to necessarily play for any 1 week. So they have home maps, which is why there's no map draft for these guys. And the maps that they play on are Arabia and Black Forest. So we're going to see these 2 guys first. And Wiznatic and Ice-T are going to play on Rivers and Yucatan. So we'll get 4 different maps, 1 game on each map, and we'll get to see the results. The civilization drafts, Bender and Nope, it's the same for round wild or any round. Bender and Nope discard 5 randomly. The admin just gets rid of them, so they don't choose these. And then they each globally ban 2 civilizations. And then they pick 3, snipe 1, and then pick 1 more. So Bender and Nope have... Bender has the option of Burgundians, Vietnamese, Dravidians, and Nope has the option of Goths, Cumans, and Armenians. Alright, so having introduced the players, having introduced the maps, having introduced the civilizations, at least for this first set, we'll go in and cast their 2 matches. Or their match, 2 games within the match. Oh, and we got to change the overlay here. There we go. Okay. So this is Million Ways to Die in the Middle Ages Arabia. All of these maps are taken from the classic maps. Needed something that could be easily modified to accommodate this extra town, basically, that you get here. It's a different kind of town, but it's still a town. And I downloaded a lot of the standard DE maps nowadays, and it's very unreadable. So I went back to the 2020 scripts and did the best that I could to modify them. I had the help of another map creator to modify some of them. And what is it? Well, we've got basically this sort of second set of player areas here. And this fortified tower is considered an objective in our tournament. So this fortified tower, if this tower is destroyed, you lose. It's one of the ways that you can die in the Middle Ages. If the monument countdown reaches 0, you lose. If your king is killed, you lose. Because this is played on sudden death, if your town center is destroyed, you lose. And of course, being Alchemy League, oh, what a beautiful board lure right there by Bender. Being Alchemy League, it's also played on standard. This is a nice little Acropolis here. Look at that. It's also played on standard victory conditions, which means, in theory, relics, wonders, that kind of stuff should work, although players have reported that in practice it doesn't. Now look at this. Nope here with an interesting, like, sneaky dock placement as Armenians. I guess there's 1 fish here. I don't know that that's worth it. But Nope seems to think that it is worth it. Yeah, I only count 1 fish in this region. I guess we'll have to keep an eye on that and see if he does anything with that. The fish docking of the ponds. So Bender is a very aggressive player. From what we've seen from Bender, he prefers fast castle into unique unit. He generally does all-in style pushes. And I think Nope is a little bit more varied. Nope has been with us since he was a 1K player. He's improved a lot, actually, in Alchemy League. It's pretty satisfying to see. All my little players are growing up. Some of these guys are just good and have always been really good, but Nope's improved a lot in the league. One more thing for me to explain before I start gushing about the players. You start with a petard, because petards are so chaotic. The petard can be used to bust open a wall, so you can wall, but it's not as effective because this petard is here. And a lot of what people like to do, like people like to drop castles on these towers. The petard could be a very good defense against that. So we have king is useful for pushing deer. We've seen people, but you don't get any other scouting units besides the king and besides the petard. So we've seen people scout with their king and have their king get trapped and lose that way. So you have to be really careful. So let's talk about it. Armenians. Wait, what? There's a dock, but there are no fishing ships. Shouldn't there be fishing ships about now? Maybe not. But nope, spent all that wood to build this. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, so we got Armenians versus Vietnamese. So Bender likes the Vietnamese. They're good for all-in pushes. They're good for laming. Looks like Nope's got a spearman here trying to distract the deer luring. The spearman just kills the deer, which is unfortunate. You start with a barracks, which is a little bit scary. It means that people can get units out faster. One of your prerequisite buildings is already built for you. As the Vietnamese, Bender knows where his opponent's town center is, starting out the game. So he doesn't have to worry about running his king into this. Not that he's really used his king for scouting his opponent anyway. I think the king has mostly been used to find his resources and to push deer in. And as you can see, Bender going for these big old walls. I don't know that Fast Castle works as well on this map, but if you can get castle quickly, and you can build a castle and you can go all in and you can drop that castle on your tower, you have a very, very high chance of winning. The problem is, though, is that if your opponent starts with a petard, then they can just bust through these walls and walk in and have their way with you, because you're doing Fast Castle and you have no military, and they not only do they have military, but they have a sudden breach in your walls, and they can just rush in and cause a lot of damage and win the game right there. So Fast Castle, I mean, it could be effective on some maps, but I'm skeptical that it's the right thing to do on this map. And let's see if we can click around on some flags to get an indication of what people are actually up to. Alright, so actually Bender is not going Fast Castle, though, because he is on his way up to the Feudal Age. 21 pop, right? And he's getting loom right now. And wait a second, he's building a market? Okay, he is doing a Fast Castle. He's doing a 21 pop Fast Castle, which is just bizarre. So we're going to have this villager come out and probably throw down a blacksmith foundation. And Nope's got a 2 militia drush here. And I don't see that Nope is doing... Yeah, Nope hasn't clicked up yet. Nope is probably doing Fast Castle as well, because he's at 26 villagers. And Nope has forgotten about his petard. With the petard, Nope could get in, but he could just walk in too. Oh no. So one of the militia taking a face full of arrows. And so I think Bender is going to get away with this Fast Castle, unfortunately. Never like to see people get away with Fast Castle. The question will be, will he have the map control to drop the castle now? And we checked Bender's Fog of War. He actually doesn't know where his opponent's tower is. And that's a popular place to drop the castle on. So I imagine Bender is kind of idling here. He's waiting to get the wood to click up. He's going to sell a little bit of wood and then click up. Alright, so Bender going for Fast Castle something. Now, he hasn't secured... Well, I guess he has secured gold. So he's going to head over to this gold and take this gold. But he's actually not even on stone. So maybe he's not going for a castle. Maybe he's got some other strategy planned out. Nope has made extra militia. Nope is headed to the Feudal Age. Bender extensively on this gold, and Nope just patrolling here. Not really sure what his opponent's doing, or maybe knowing his opponent's reputation for castle and unique unit, but yeah, no stone activity from Bender. So Bender has something else in mind, and I don't really know what it is. He's on wood, he's on gold. The only thing that I can think of are siege weapons. But siege weapons by themselves are not very good, so I really don't know. Nope is building a market, he's built a blacksmith, and Nope is probably going to click up any time now. We could go and check his resources. Actually, his resources are a little off balance. He buys a little bit of food, sells a little bit of gold, or sorry, sells a little bit of wood for gold, and I think he plans on clicking up soon. But his food income is not very good. He's just got these guys on berries and a few villagers on deer. And Nope, seeing that his opponent is Castle Age, decides to get Man-at-Arms. I think Nope is a little bit timid here, because Bender really doesn't have anything. And Bender's not even on food. Just realized. He is going... Wait, what? He's going Fire Lancers. Okay, and the Siege Workshop has been built here. So Bender is not even going for the tower. And does Nope know about this aggression? He does not. So Nope does have a dock here, and he's got a few fishing ships fishing. I guess there's something here. Looks like he has a few fishing ships at work, and he sees the Fire Lancer now, and he immediately reacts, and he pulls his villagers off of the gold. And Bender's actually coming for the town center. And I think Nope is surprised by this, because Nope had these guys patrolling near his tower, and now he's going to retask them. He moves his Petard, and he moves his militia down to his base. And I think Bender... Okay, so Bender's got... He's got a Petard coming in, he's got another ram, and he's got his Fire Lancer here. And he's not quite ready to push the town center yet, but Nope is scared. And Nope gets... As Armenians, Nope has access to long swordsmen in the feudal age, so he's researching it now. And he's built a barracks at home, and he's researching long swordsmen at the barracks far away, and he's creating some long swordsmen at home to defend his town center from these rams. He obviously sees the two rams attacking his wall, and he knows that more must be coming, and that Bender is saving up for them. This is a very all-in push. Bender is still only at 23 villagers. And here come the long swordsmen to confront the rams. And Bender hops out of the rams, and he fights the long swordsmen with these Fire Lancers, but the long swordsmen are highly effective against the Fire Lancers. And so Bender has to run away. He needs like a scorpion or two to help these Fire Lancers over the edge. He should withdraw to the safety of his own towers. And meanwhile, Nope is going to try to take as much damage as he can on these rams. But he has successfully rebuffed his opponent's attack. And Nope is in the Castle Age now, and he's making long swordsmen from 1 or 2 barracks. So these Fire Lancers could be very effective at keeping the long swordsmen busy while a scorpion damages them. The Fire Lancers, as you know, have a charge attack. It's one of those new mechanics that I don't particularly understand very well. But I guess they have some kind of rocket tied to the end of their pikes that they shoot at the opponent for a little bit of damage before engaging in battle. Nope is going to build a fortified church in this location, and this villager, I think, is repairing a ram. Yes, so this ram is not just randomly regenerating. This villager, that's actually kind of funny, this villager is repairing the ram. Okay. And so let's see if Bender has made any counter. Okay, here are the scorpions, that's good. So Bender needed these scorpions. And he's very all in again. These Fire Lancers could and should hop in the rams. The rams are going to take down the fortified church first. Fire Lancers, I guess, are just kind of loiter here and keep the long swordsmen from charging the scorpions. And Nope's feeling the pressure. This relic is ejected. This is a bug. Armenians, even if in a relic victory situation, players were reporting that that the Armenians trigger a relic victory And Nope feels the need to fight this. He should be sending all villagers here, because this is everything for Bender, right? Like, Bender is all in here. Maybe Nope doesn't understand that if he loses all of his villagers, but he defends against this push, it's still worth it. But Bender managing to take the town center down. He's patient. It looked like Nope had fought him off successfully. But Bender winning that game, 23 villagers, and not making any more villagers once he reached Castle Age, beating Nope with nearly twice the number of villagers, 38 villagers. So, GG, well played to Bender. I think Nope had to empty this wood line out, right, and just charge these rams, charge everything, repair the town center, garrison the town center. But maybe he thought he was further behind than he really was. Let's check his resources. He had a lot of gold, and I think he maybe built this siege workshop and wood. Maybe he built this siege workshop so that he could build some defensive rams to flatten the, some defensive mangonels to flatten the rams. I guess we'll never know. Look at this kill to death ratio for Bender. This is a lot of long swords getting shot down by scorpions or by fire lancers. Nope with more food and stone collected, and Bender with more wood and gold collected. Actually, let's go to game 2 now. Black Forest. Yeah, that's fine. I already tested. It should work. Black Forest is one of those maps where, it's kind of hard to balance something like this because the passages on Black Forest are kind of random. So, for instance, if Bender really wanted to, he could walk along this, maybe this slip through here, and he could wall this off potentially and make it hard for his opponent to defend the tower. Or maybe Nope comes in here and walls this off. But it's a fun map nonetheless. You do not, the rules say you don't start on Explored, so you got to explore it. In Ranked, this map is played on Explored, but not here. Here we make the players explore. We like exploration. So let's talk about the civilizations. Cumans versus Burgundians. So Nope's choice of Cumans is very suspicious to me. And the reason for that is because Cumans, although they have the economic bonus of being able to build a second town center in the feudal age, because this map is sudden death, they can't. So that leaves their other feudal age bonus, which is they can build a siege workshop. So maybe Nope is planning on, and their archery ranges and their stables are cheaper. So I suspect that Nope is planning some serious feudal age aggression, maybe with a barracks units, or maybe archery range units, or maybe stable units, but maybe even siege workshop units against his opponent in feudal age. Now, Black Forest is ordinarily a map that is easy to wall up, right? There are a few choke points, but against feudal age walls, rams are pretty effective. So we'll have to monitor Nope and see if that's what he does. That's an awkward forward lure, but that can happen even to Nope. Let's talk about Bender's civilization. So Bender's civilization kind of tells a different story here. So whereas Nope has picked a civilization that's good at breaking through and doing early damage on this map, they both have picked a civilization that has its own merits on this map, right? Nope has picked the civilization that is good at breaking through. Look at this exotic double boar lure here, by the way, from Bender. It may not be a triple boar lure, but it's still cool. A double boar lure. And it's, on a map like Black Forest, that's totally a thing. So he gets him. Of course, you guys know that they changed Town Center Arrow Fire now to not destroy the meat of a boar if the town center lands the finishing shot. So anyway, Bender picked the civilization that's good for Black Forest defense. So Nope was thinking about it like, okay, you know, my opponent is going to build 6 layers of palisade walls, and I want to do feudal aggression, and I want to get through, and I want to kill him. So I'm gonna choose a civilization that has access to rams in the feudal age so that I can get through sooner, right? And Bender is the opposite. Bender's like, I'm going to build 6 layers of palisade walls on this map, and I may not be able to boom on Black Forest, but I'm Burgundians. I have access to these economic technologies 1 age early. And so even though I can't build multiple town centers, I'm going to get these technologies early, I'm going to turtle, and I'm going to turn that into a big economy advantage with a single town center, and I'm going to use that to my advantage. I'm going to use that to build a bigger army than my opponent, and then eventually strike out and finish him. Okay, so it's very different outlooks on the same map, but it's clear that they both chose these civilizations very conscious of the map, and that's, you know, that's true in general of Alchemy League. The players they're very choosy, and maybe it's true for all Age of Empires 2 competitions, but they're very, very picky about the civilizations that they use for these maps because it can make a big difference. And Alchemy League is known for its custom maps. We've been doing this for basically 2 years now. So we'll see, but that's my prediction. Is Nope is gonna do his best to wall up and get a good economy, and sorry, not Nope. Bender's gonna do his best to wall up and get a good economy, and Nope is gonna do his best to break in and destroy Bender's economy. So Bender has a 2-villager lead over Nope right now. Ouch. I'm wondering if it's town center idle time or if it's... I mean, they both have 0 kills and 0 deaths, so I don't think anybody lost anything to a boar. I think that would show. Okay, Nope is heavily on gold. This is pretty suspicious, right? That's a lot of gold. And Nope is on his way to the feudal age as well. He's more than halfway, and Bender's about a quarter of the way, but we haven't seen Bender wall, really. Maybe he's planning on walling... No, that's a boar luring villager. Maybe he's going to do the small walls. But I expected that Bender would try and wall more than he has. Maybe not. Walling can be awkward on Black Forest, right? There's wolves. You gotta fight the wolves, you gotta have loom. And who knows if your opponent's petard is going to come around the corner and just blow up your wounded villager after it fought off a wolf in a very anticlimactic manner. Of course, the petard can kill an unloomed villager. And Nope again, we got some infantry. We have some militia here. And Nope is coming forward with this villager. He's just built a blacksmith, and the blacksmith is a prerequisite for a siege workshop. And now we see that Nope is constructing a siege workshop. So, as predicted, Nope is satisfying my predictions. This is what I thought Nope would do. Bender has made it a little bit easier for him. Let's take a look at Bender's exploration. Oops. Bender. Fog of War. Okay, here we go. So Bender really has not explored these passages very well. Like, he doesn't know that there's a passage to his opponent's fortified tower over here. And he doesn't know the extent of this passage, if this is even a passage at all. For all he knows, you know, it might just be connected to his town center. Again, we've got market, blacksmith, so Bender is and heavily on gold. And Bender's on his way up to the castle age. So, I was wrong. Bender actually intends to do another fast castle type strategy. Whereas Nope is doing the Cuman rams. Let's take a look and see how many rams Nope has. Now, Nope needs to be careful. He doesn't want to blow his cover. He should not move in until he has enough rams. Bender has made a Flemish militia. And here comes a ram. Here's a petard. And let's take a look at this fortified tower. This actually is a kind of a weak version of the fortified tower. And what in the world? Where's this ram going? Okay, these militia hop out, and they're gonna fight the Flemish militia. Oh no! Don't destroy the barracks. No, not the barracks, man. Not the barracks. Nope, no. So this barracks is on top of the fortified, and he uses the petard against the barracks. I guess it could make sense because the barracks is a military production point for Bender. The barracks is useful for defending this location. So hopefully, you know, if Nope wants to tie this up, he was not expecting to get in by destroying the barracks. But in destroying the barracks, Nope has removed Bender's ability to build more Flemish militia. Alright, here comes Bender now. So Bender has a number of forward villagers, and he is going to build some new barracks. And he has to build an extra one. And Bender is known for his very tight builds. This 2 HP Flemish militia. Alright, so now these militia are going to try to get through. We've got a repair villager. Nope should just hop out and just, you know, just destroy this guy. Don't let him take free health off of the ram. Yep, there you go. And then garrison again. And then send this other ram in. Alright, so Nope is working on his way here, and it's a race to kill each other. Let's see if Bender has the resources for a castle. I don't think he does, but I think he intends to buy one. So I believe that Bender intends to buy a castle and drop it here. The problem is that there were kind of wolves in the way blocking him. He had to build an extra barracks he wasn't planning. I mean, maybe these Flemish militia are here, and they're coming in to actually attack the rams. But Bender is definitely working on saving up the stones. And I think that Nope is afraid. Look at Nope just building this random tower here. You can tell Nope is worried about a castle drop. But Bender could just as easily drop the castle on Nope's tower as he could on the town center. So I don't really know that this tower does much. But Nope sending a bunch of forward villagers because he saw that coming, as Bender calls the GG. So Nope's human ram rush for the win. GG. Well played to Nope. He was able to take down the tower. He's able to take down the tower in time. Bender, you know, Bender, I think, ignored the warning signs. Went fast castle anyway. And he has some pretty scary fast castle age, but in this case, Bender's strategy was faster. And so Nope manages to tie it up 1-1. I thought that was a pretty good set. So let's take a look at the statistics. Nope with 4 kills, 1 death. Probably a militia. Largest army of 10. Buildings raised 2. 1 of them was a barracks and 1 was a tower. Bender, more food and gold collected. Nope with more wood collected. Nope was faster to the feudal age by about a minute. And he never got to the castle age, so Bender was first there. Nope with 29 villagers to Bender's 25. Alright. So now let's adjust the overlay. And we're just gonna, real quick, go into the civilization draft for Ice-T and Wizanatic. So, just as a quick recap though, before we do, remember these players are drafting for Rivers and for Yucatan. So, the admin randomly bans 5 civilizations at the start. They globally ban 2 civilizations each. Pick 3, snipe 1, then pick 1 more. And Wizanatic is left with Persians, Goths, and Vikings. How the heck did Ice-T let Wizanatic have Persians? Persian town centers have twice the hit points, so that as far as Persians are concerned, if they're playing in a sudden death game, they have a big advantage, right? You have to do twice as much work to destroy their town center. And then Ice-T with Lithuanians, Japanese, and Mayans. Alright. So now we're going to change the overlay back. And load replay. So the first game is on Rivers. I remade Rivers to be more balanced. You know, it's still not perfect, right? These maps were made in a very hurried time frame after, like, their plan C We don't recommend them for other events, but the concept that we kind of tested here in Alchemy League Season 8 has potential, and if another community wanted to expand upon it. Ice-T is playing as the yellow Japanese, and he's already loaded up his transport ship with a petard. And I'm wondering if he's going to try to get over here before Wisnatic gets Loom. Yeah, that's right. You start with a transport ship on this map. This river's map, you know, we try to make it different from Highland. How is it different from Highland? Well, there's more water, and the forests are small. So there's more water, the forests are small, and the forest being small, in my little brain, kind of, you know, it sort of makes up for the fact that more of the map can be controlled by ships. So that means that you can potentially do more damage with feudal and land military because the wood lines are smaller. So Ice-T coming down here, and I really don't understand the petard in the transport ship at all. I don't know what he's looking for. Oh, you know what he's looking for? I understand. He is looking for Wisnatic's dock. His thought is, I'm going to load this petard in this transport ship, and I'm going to see when Wisnatic starts building a dock, and I'm going to hop out, and I'm going to petard it. Or I'm going to petard the villager, because he probably doesn't have Loom yet. Unfortunately for Ice-T, Wisnatic actually was pretty bold and just docked in the center. Wisnatic is playing as the blue Persians. Okay, so Persians, the town center, twice the hit points. Let's take a look, you know, because these towers can have a random amount of health. The outer wall ring around them is a random wall type. Fortified tower has 950 HP here. Okay. This is not a lot. It's below average, probably. Persians docking very quickly. It's actually kind of an insta-dock, right? Because this dock was built sooner. It was built before this lumber camp, so he kind of chopped the stragglers around his town center. It's actually a really nifty build from Wisnatic. I'm quite impressed. But we would expect nothing less of Wisnatic. He's a really good player. We love Wisnatic. We are lucky to have him. So he brings in his first boar, I think. Yeah, the second boar is right here. And Ice-T has got a drush planned. Alright, so he couldn't blow up the dock, but he is going to come in here with some drush. And unluckily for Wisnatic, Ice-T finds this lumber camp. Because Wisnatic built a lumber camp here instead of back here. I don't know why Wisnatic did that. It would seem like he knew about this wood line here. Are these villagers loomed? They are not. This is scary. Yeah, he's got it. He basically loses a villager and he has to abandon this lumber camp. But because he did the insta-dock, you know, he cannot afford to build another dock, or a new lumber camp, I should say, until he chops these stragglers, and then he can afford another lumber camp. But remember, he's got to build houses too, and he wants to build fish. So this is a really lucky find for Ice-T. And he's kind of punishing the Persian economic greed in a sense. You know, this is a pretty educational video, right? Because we see Wisnatic do this crazy, like, Persian hybrid map build where he insta-docks and he gets more fishing ships out, he gets an economic lead, but his opponent punishes it with a drush. Now Wisnatic, of course, immediately got Loom upon seeing these, you know, this drush here, and so now he's able to fight it off. But Wisnatic, you know, Ice-T can still be really annoying here. Wisnatic's here with his king. I'm not sure what the king is for. Maybe just to distract his opponent. And petard goes off, and it looks like something got blown up here. I think it was a militia. I think that was Wisnatic's petard. Nope, Wisnatic's petard is here, so that was Ice-T's petard, blowing up some villagers. He's trying to get another villager kill. Alright, here comes Wisnatic's petard. And Wisnatic is on his way up to the feudal age. And he's quick, right? These early fishing ships can really help out. But he only has 20 villagers. Well, of According to this, he has 20 villagers. According to this, he's got 23, so he's got 3 fishing ships. 2 are working, maybe, and one is exploring somewhere, I guess. Petard going off, but no villagers go down for Ice-T. It just softens these villagers up from potentially coming forward and rushing with towers, or maybe softens them up for Wizanatic's own counterattack. There's Wizanatic's king. Ice-T. He doesn't take the bait. I think the king is just here to kind of maybe bait the militia and draw them into the town center so they can be destroyed. Wizanatic reaching the feudal age and builds another dock. What is Ice-T doing? Ice-T's halfway up to the feudal age, and he's heavily on gold. And he's got... Ice-T has something in this transport ship. What is it? I didn't see... It's 2 villagers. The transport ship is technically faster than the villagers walking. Okay. And I don't think Wizanatic saw this, but I think Ice-T must know that he's about to lose water. Yeah, so Wizanatic doesn't know about this transport ship. And the transport ship drops off the villagers. And what are the villagers doing now? They're probably going to build something. He's feudal age. He's going to build an archery range next to Wizanatic's woodline. He can show Wizanatic, you know, the militia, because Wizanatic already knows about them. Wizanatic is not going to get suspicious. In fact, he might think that this is the only thing here, when in reality there's an archery range going up as well. So here's a ship coming forward. Wizanatic has 1 galley forward, and a second is arriving. Ice-T has fishing ships here, but because these are Japanese fishing ships, they're going to take a little while to kill. So that will buy Ice-T some time. Although Ice-T is still fleeing, so these fishing ships are as good as dead anyway, since they're not working. Oh, wait. Alright, he just wanted to see which fishing ship Wizanatic was chasing. And now he's going to send these 2 back to work. Alright, so now Wizanatic is here with an archery range foundation. Ice-T is pressuring him with an archer. This archer does not have fletching, so the villagers could probably fight it off. It's only 1. We got the king here for Wizanatic as well. Okay, so Wizanatic managing to get the range down. But he's housed. He's got to rush up some houses so that he can make skirmishers. These villagers are charging this archer, fighting this archer, and they're wounded now, so they got to run. That one doesn't make it. I think this one will get away. But boy, this is a tough location to have a lumber camp. Because there's a hill right here, right? And the crossing is right here. The opponent can just come right over the hill and come down on your wood line. I really think it's worth it to just build a new lumber camp over here or something for Wizanatic. But he's doubling down on this area. He's sending more villagers to this location. And, you know, maybe he thinks, I got the water. I guess Ice-T built a couple of galleys. Fire galleys, I should say. Wizanatic has finished off that fishing ship. He's got 2 galleys over here. He theoretically could at some point pick a fight with Ice-T. But it hasn't happened yet. Now Wizanatic is going to have confirmation that there's a stable here, right? Potentially you could see Japanese scouts. So we got scouts and we got skirmishers. Expensive, not as expensive as scouts and archers, but it's definitely a big investment. And now Wizanatic sending the boys. Oh no, gonna get back to work. Ice-T fighting him with 3 archers, a scout, a skirmisher, and 2 villagers. So Wizanatic fighting off that scout. He's trying to get this wall up here. He might be able to wall this location, but Wizanatic is being a total pest. Or sorry, Ice-T is being a total pest. Wizanatic is being pestered. And Wizanatic, what is this? Is this intentional? Is he intentionally bringing a couple of wolves in here? I don't think so. I think he's just sending the spearmen to deal with any potential future scouts. But that's not going to work out very well, because the wolves are just going to kill the spearmen, or they're going to attack his own villagers instead, because he has more villagers in this area than Ice-T has. Ice-T's still villager fighting. Somehow, these two villagers are still alive. And this is just a total disaster for Wizanatic. And he calls the GG. So, you know, I think he mostly... I guess Ice-T had water control too, but... Boy, a single problematic lumber camp. And Ice-T was like using it to drill down on him the whole game. So it's kind of a lesson here, right? I mean, Wizanatic had this amazing Persians hybrid build. He did the Instadock, he got up super early. But the nature of his lumber camp placement was unsafe. If he had built that lumber camp over here, or over here, he probably, you know, he may not have been defeated. It would have been a lot easier to defend. So that's very interesting. Ice-T with a really good pressure against Wizanatic. Showing us how it's done. But again, both really good players. Very entertaining game. Let's take a look at the statistics. Ice-T with 21 kills, 9 deaths, raised 1 building, largest army of 10. And it was a big feudal brawl for most of the game. Wizanatic with more food and gold collected, Ice-T with more wood collected. Game ended in feudal age. Villager high of 32 for Wizanatic. You know, he had a better eco than Ice-T did. And he would have had a much better eco if Ice-T had just left his wood line alone. And, you know, timeline looks pretty normal. So now let's go over to Yucatan. So this is one of the maps that we, you know, did not touch nearly as much for Alchemy League. We basically just changed the beaches to wet sand because I thought that would make more sense for Yucatan. If they had a mud beach option, I would have taken that. Wizanatic is playing as the blue Goths, and Ice-T is playing as the yellow Lithuanians. Oh boy, we've seen Goths on this map before. Here's the reason why. There's a lot of food on Yucatan. Some people feel that there's too much food on Yucatan, which I could completely understand. But it's not just the amount of food on Yucatan. It's also the type of food. So it's deer, it's boar, and even to an extent turkeys. I mean, sure, your berries are doubled, right? You have 2 berry bush patches. But Yucatan lends itself well to like militia, man-at-arms type pushes, because not only can you get to the feudal age quicker with the amount of huntable meat that's available, but there's so much meat available that you can advance quicker, and you can build a lot of infantry, which are expensive food-wise. So I think that we're going to see some kind of crazy... And I think we saw this in the first sprint. Ween Dinchester had this crazy infantry aggression strategy against Wizanatic, if I'm remembering correctly. And now Wizanatic wants to use it against Ice-T. Ice-T is the Lithuanians. That one doesn't... I don't understand that one as much. I mean, maybe Ice-T is looking at it like he wants to Lithuanian Instadock, but I don't think so. I'm not really sure the appeal of Lithuanians on the map. Maybe somebody can let me know. I'm always looking to learn. Maybe we'll see it. Maybe Ice-T himself will let me know. Maybe it'll be obvious as Ice-T does things. Let's check their bonuses. I mean, nothing really special about this. Each town center provides... Yeah, I don't see anything here. I mean, this is not a really particularly relic setup at all. In fact, I think there are no relics on this map at all, which is kind of bizarre. I don't recall removing them. Maybe I did. Oops. Few people ever go for relic victory anyway. And here comes Wizanatic's Drush. Oh no! The Petard's stopping underneath the town center and dying for free. But these are Gothic militia. I believe that Gothic militia are cheaper, starting in the Dark Age. I know that the devs experimented with that a lot. Yeah, 15% cheaper in Dark Age. he's gonna fight these villagers, and Ice-T kind of forced it. This is a terrible wood line. Imagine trying to wall this wood line, right? It's on a hill. It's on the north side of some trees. That's a very confusing wood line to wall. And Wizenatic has managed to take Ice-T off of this lumber camp. Ice-T did not get Loom yet either, so that explains the dead villager. And now I guess Wizenatic is just going to destroy. Hey, Sandy, welcome. Long time no siege indeed. How is being a new mother? You don't have to answer that if you want. If you don't want to, you don't have to answer. But I recall that you had some significant life developments, and you have every excuse to not be here for a long time. So Ice-T building a mill. Really, a mill before a second lumber camp? I mean, this lumber camp is clearly going to go down, right? Wouldn't you want to build a new lumber camp? I don't know. Guess maybe he figures he's got the stragglers he can chop for now. He's got another boar that he's going to bring in. And he's going to... He physically cannot small wall because he has no wood. Did he not get Loom? Oh, he didn't even get Loom yet. What's going on? Oh, this is why he didn't get Loom. Because he is also fighting Ice-T. He is doing a Lithuanian Drush. But Wizenatic's Drush is more effective than Ice-T's Drush. Oh, has it really been that long? How time flies. Okay, so this explains why Ice-T does not have the gold to get Loom. He's kind of stuck. He still is at 25 HP villagers with no armor at all. And he's taking gold now, but this is very scrappy. Wizenatic coming in with his boar too. And remember also that Wizenatic's militia are cheaper because he is Goths. So that could explain why Wizenatic's Drush was much more effective. Ice-T trying to build a lumber camp here, and then I guess panicking and deleting it or changing his mind because it's less accessible than he would have hoped. So he's going to chop a little bit more wood and return that to the town center and then build a proper lumber camp somewhere else, maybe. Okay, he's just going to build it here. And he's going to kind of try to small wall. And again, look, the lack of wood is preventing Ice-T from walling this location here. And Wizenatic could just come right around and fight, but I think Wizenatic assumed that Ice-T had the wood to small wall to the town center. Wizenatic finding Ice-T's turkeys. He's taking them. And I think this set was played in time for Thanksgiving, too. Ice-T pushing in a deer. Actually, this is going to be super annoying. Wizenatic's going to see this. He's going to see this, and he's going to mess with it. Maybe not this one, but he's got to know that Ice-T wants to come back, right? And he's going to instead destroy this house foundation. So I guess he's not going to camp the deer. I would have camped the deer. Because surely these deer are an important source of food for my opponent. But these players are also a lot better than I am. So maybe this is the smart play. You know, he can finish off the house and then come back this way. Wizenatic scouting with his king. Okay, maybe he's going to mess with this now. I mean, this is a king, right? This is a pretty important unit. And now he's actually going to go lame the deer. Wow, Wizenatic is going scorched earth on Ice-T. He's not messing around. Lames... No, I guess he decides not to lame the deer. Maybe he wants Wizenatic... Or maybe Wizenatic wants Ice-T to try laming some more deer so that he can attack the king with his militia. Alright, so Ice-T has built an archery range. It is a good idea. Archers are an effective counter, a very cost-effective counter against militia. So Wizenatic is going to circle around and look for an opening, but Ice-T seems to have secured wood and he's secured gold. And those are the resources that he needs to build archers. So for the time being, Ice-T is not going to die. Ice-T has survived. If it were different, if this archery range weren't up, if Ice-T couldn't afford to wall this off, then he could die very soon. But my prediction is Ice-T is going to make it to the Castle Age. And Wisnatic is going to make it to the Castle Age too. So Wisnatic leaving. There's archers. It's not worth it anymore. So he's going to head back. I think his economy should be pretty well set up. He's got an archery range of his own that he's building. He's got 3 on gold. And he's building a blacksmith. So I think he's going to make some counter archers of his own. Or maybe skirmishers. Actually, he's getting close to having the resources to clicking up to the Castle Age. He's going to get man-at-arms. And I would build a market, and I would go on this. I would click up to the Castle Age. I would go on the stone, and I would prepare to make a castle. Maybe not necessarily castle drop, although everybody likes that. But Huskarls would be very devastating for Ice-T to deal with. Sandy says, my daughter is amazing, but she makes me absolutely exhausted every day and night. I haven't slept for more than 3 consecutive hours for ages. Oh boy. Sounds awful. Sounds awful, but sounds dedicated at the same time, too. And we like dedication here. We may not ask for child nurturing dedication, but we have a lot of dedicated modders and players and such. And Ice-T is dedicated to doing damage to Wisnatic. Here he comes. He's got 2 archers and a skirmisher, and he might be able to slip in here and harass some gold collection. Well, not quite. Foundation's going up, and Wisnatic's going to try to finish this. And he builds a house to get in the way, and actually manages to keep Ice-T out. Is Ice-T going to pick off a villager? Not quite. Close. Sounds like motherhood. Well, I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't be comparing me to these people's mother. But I do nag them a lot, that's for sure. I do have a way of nagging them. Alright, so Wisnatic's... I guess he's pushing with a couple of skirmishers now, and he's got some man-at-arms that are waiting for something to do. Wisnatic has reached the Castle Age. But he's not close to building a castle. He might go the longsword route, or he could go the castle route. Those are kind of the 2 big routes. Or he could come forward with a siege workshop. There are a lot of options here. Ice-T managing to fight off this incursion, and he's building a market of his own. Now let's check his resources. It doesn't look like he's quite there to clicking up to the castle. He just got some time. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking, Sandy. Alchemy League is doing great. It's prospering. We pretty much have twice the players that we had this time last year. And that kind of growth is exponential because people tell their friends. So Ice-T using the market. He wants to click up to the Castle Age. He does not want to be too far behind Wisnatic, because Goth Castle Age can be scary. And it looks like Wisnatic is going to go the long swords and siege weapons route, which makes sense. So siege workshop, and Wisnatic's he's going the route of rams. Makes sense. And Wisnatic going to build an outpost here to see what his opponent is doing. Ice-T on his way up to the Castle Age is about a third of the way there. Ice-T does not know. I don't think Ice-T knows that Wisnatic has prepared rams for him. Yeah, he doesn't quite know. I guess he knows that there are villagers here because he obviously can see the outpost and the house. But this Dirt 2 terrain here, this discoloration, this is just a capture age, not capture age, but a spectator bug. So Ice-T doesn't know that there's a building here. We know that there's a building there, but Ice-T does not know. But he probably suspects, because he's pretty smart. They're all pretty smart. Oh, actually, he knows about the rams, because there's a ram right here. Okay. Never mind. He knows about the rams. He's queuing up villagers. He's got, you know, he's microing like a madman. He's got these skirmishers and archers here. Wisnatic is not quite confident enough in being able to push the town center yet. But he is sending a bunch of villagers forward, so what is that? Ooh, it's a castle drop. So he either bought some stone or he put a bunch on stone, but either way he intends to build a castle here and get Ice-T out of his game. Doesn't want to try to out micro Ice-T with a ram charge on the town center, so he's just going to build a castle instead. And to be fair, out microing Ice-T is a pretty tall order. He's got very good unit control. So Wisnatic just going to drop this Gothic castle here. This is going to be an absolute nightmare. In addition to ranging the town center, this castle can produce Huskarls. So this knight has to flee. The castle will perpetually attack the town center, so it's going to be like a constant liability. And now the ram is going to come in and do damage. And it's going to be able to defend, or, well, Wisnatic's going to be able to defend this ram using the castle. So that means that Ice-T is going to have to build a mangonel. I guess he's building a counter ram of his own to try and keep this town center alive. Ice-T's done, I think, if I remember correctly, he's done pretty well this sprint, you know, so this is, he's trying to be as competitive as possible. He does not want to resign unless he's really sure that Wisnatic is bested him. Wisnatic's just playing out of his mind this game, too. He's doing a great job. He wants revenge for the last game. He's chased off the ram, repairing the town center. Wisnatic repairs the ram, but he doesn't quite manage to repair it fully. And Ice-T has survived. Ice-T has 2 counter rams here, and he's got a repair villager, and he's got a bunch of villagers garrisoned in the town center too, to produce arrows. And, you know, maybe he's looking at it kind of the other way too, where the town center can kind of range to protect his own rams. So he may be looking at it from the perspective of if he can get enough rams, he might be able to push this castle and survive. Or maybe slip down here and snipe the tower, even though this castle is in his face. Is this ram soaking the castle arrow fire? I don't think so. I think Wisnatic's been pretty diligent about making sure that the castle is attacking the town center. And Wisnatic has prepared 3 petards, and he's building a second castle here. So that's pretty brutal. And I think this is just about GG for Ice-T, but he's done well. But he had a rough one. I think the Goth, he had a very again, you know, lumber camp retaliation. Both of these players basically losing control of the game over a lumber camp. Both of these games. It's actually, I don't want to say it's funny, because they probably didn't find it very funny. But I will say it's interesting that at this level, you know, even the smallest of mistakes can spiral into a death sentence for you. Because these guys both really try-harded these maps. They had some very try-hard picks. They had some very try-hard plays. And GG, well played to both of them. So, looking at the statistics here, they actually had a relatively even KD. But you know it's a rough time when the Goths have a better kill-to-death ratio than you do. Usually the Goths have a bad kill-to-death ratio, and that's still good for them. Goths are fully expected to, you know, lose twice as many units as they killed because their units are so cheap. So when the Goths have more kills than they have deaths, it means they had a really good game. And that is definitely the case with Wisnatic. He had a very good game here. The economy, Wisnatic with more food collected and more stone collected. Ice-T with more wood and gold collected. Ice-T with a better feudal age time. But Wisnatic delaying feudal age a little bit to invest in those militia, which were very damaging to his opponent. And the result was that due to that feudal age damage, Wisnatic was able to get to castle age faster. One castle completed for Wizanatic. Villager high of 48. So, GG, well played. I thought that they were 4 excellent games. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. And I might do one more cast for Alchemy League Season 8. I might not. But either way, we've got an amazing Alchemy League Season 9 planned for you, within which we are going to prominently feature Hyper Random. So thank you guys so much for being here, and hopefully I will see you again soon. Sandy, thank you so much for stopping in. Love you, glad you could make it. I really appreciate the dedication of everybody that takes time to play in the events, to help us out with developing maps, or takes time to notice the video of all the content and everything that all that hard work becomes. So thank you so much, and we'll see you guys again soon. Thanks so much. Bye.